Okay, so here we go. Today we'll see the different kinds of client that we have in NAV, and we'll see what other kinds of functionalities do we have which helps us in integrating this application with the external applications. Okay, so we'll discuss a few things about it, and of course we will have a hands-on all these in our all coming sessions. We'll create one each instances and we'll do those integrations, and we'll see that, and along with that we'll also see again the development environment, what that is all about, and we'll create a small table and we'll save it. We'll see a couple of properties there and we'll proceed. And along with, yes, was there any question? Okay. uh, in the development environment we will see the logical structure of the database companies, and how do we have a backup and restore options, and of course licenses we can skip for now because that is not important. Multi-language functionality, I showed it to you on the day one, but we'll just go through it once, and we'll continue on module 8 there. Okay, so these are nothing but different application areas in the application. Okay, so we will also see the finance part and how it is related. Okay, so before we proceed I'll just show you what we did yesterday. We'll just recap. Okay, so if you look at it, yesterday we created a purchase order and we posted receipt and the invoice together, and we see when we receive we had a posted receipt and it updated the inventory. When we posted the invoice, that updated my chart of account. That account had an effect on the vendor card. Okay, and then later we issued the payment to the vendor. When we were in sales, we did not create a quote. Okay, though we could have created a quote and converted that quotation into an order. We started from here. Okay, we created an order, we posted the shipment. With the posted shipment the inventory was down, and along with we posted the invoice, and with that my accounts were updated, and then we did a payment to the customer. So this is how, if you look at here, there are three domains are related. One is the sales, here, all of this, then finance, and then the inventory. Okay, or the warehousing. Similar goes with purchase. We have purchase department, then we have inventory or the warehouse, and finance. Okay, so I'm copying that video from yesterday. It is taking time. I think in another 15-20 minutes that should be copied, so you can refer it. I'll show you the location on our server. Okay, we'll proceed to today's lesson. Okay, so we have few things that are important for us to know about the application, and two of them are the web services, that is the integration, and the user interface. Okay, that is what kind of different clients are available in our application. So we have basically two different clients. One is the Windows client and the other is the web client. Okay, there is one more, that is SharePoint client, but we don't use it that often. These two clients, Windows client, we are already on it. If I see here, this is nothing but a Windows client, that is role tailored client, and the second one, that is web client, we open it, instead of like this, we have to type a web address and then we open it with our logins. Though we receive this similar kind of page, okay, it goes as per my profile that has been attached, whether I'm an accountant, whether I'm from purchase or sales, the related role tailored client opens up, but that is over the web. Okay, this is not over the web. I am and you all are opening in the same local area network, so you can work with the Windows client. Okay, so we can use VPN if we want to use the Windows client over the web, or we have the other option, that is the web client. So web client opens up just like a website. And let me see if I have a picture of it, because I did it for one of the client. uh, Snag IT documents, Snag IT, I think. Yeah, here it is. We have one of the client. Okay, I would not name it. So you see here, let me, if I can make it a little bigger. You see, this is a web address down here. Okay, so we configured this client for them and it opens up with the web address. Okay, so this is the web client and it has a URL that we'll type in, and then if you look at, it is more or less the same that we see as in our Windows client. Okay, the only difference is this address. So the second is the SharePoint client. The SharePoint client, I don't know if you are aware what is SharePoint. Does anybody know what is SharePoint, guys?
No, sir.
Do you have some idea what is SharePoint?
No, sir.
Okay, okay. I'll just give you a brief about it. SharePoint is a Microsoft application which serves multiple purpose in an organization. It can be used for creation of a basic website for the organization, for the document hosting, for various applications of Microsoft can be hosted along with. And we can have blogs, we can have a different kind of activities around that application. So Microsoft Dynamics NAV can be tightly integrated with that application, and SharePoint provides an interface to NAV. So that becomes the third client for Dynamics NAV. Okay. However, we'll not see it very often. Recently, we have started working on it for one of our client as a demonstration. Okay. So we move on and we talk about the web services. Why do we need web services? So before we need to know the integration, we need to know the purpose. Some organizations, they are so huge that they run different applications all across, and the data needs to be shared. Okay, so there can be different tools for the data sharing. And tools, for example, let's say I have Excel, and or I have a flat file, or a comma separated file, or maybe I give access to my database. Okay, so there are various ways of doing that. Now, why do they need this integration? The question comes. So I give you an example. Let's say we have an auto manufacturing unit. They manufacture cars and they have so many vendors. Now the auto manufacturing unit, let's for example Volvo, it has a large setup where it hosts its own internal application. Can be SAP, can be Oracle, can be in-house built for them, can be any. So it needs to push some documents to its vendors. Now, an auto manufacturing unit kind of industry, they have hundreds and hundreds of vendors for different things. And mailing of documents, receiving them, and then updating those documents internally, it will be a pain for Volvo kind of customers, or even smaller customers. So to reduce that burden, why don't so it was thought that why don't we integrate the two systems and let us formulate some things around it, that the documents get pushed from one system to another automatically whenever they are requested, or routinely, every 1 hour or once in a day. Okay, so this is normally called electronic data interchange. And there are various tools around it. So uh, in this case, Microsoft Dynamics NAV supports web services. With web service, it opens a channel for Volvo, that it pushes a request to NAV. Let's say they want to retrieve or they want to create a sales order in NAV. So they create a purchase order in their environment, and that purchase order becomes sales order in NAV in one of their vendors environment. So web services becomes a tool. Okay, so they don't have to log into my system in NAV and create a sales order, rather it is automatically created. So this is done through web services. Another way of doing it is I provide them a login in NAV. So a user in Volvo will log into NAV, will create a sales order and update my system. Another is Volvo gives me a flat file or XML file or Excel file or a notepad, anything, um, their purchase order in that particular file, and then I import that data into NAV. And after importing, I create a sales order automatically. That is another way of doing it. So they may share file on FTP, or they have a shared folder, or there can be many things. So the easiest one is, or the most convenient one is web services. It is not, I would not say easy, but yes, it is more convenient, because the moment you use the web services between two systems, it integrates the two so tightly that when a purchase order is formed in Volvo, you can trigger a sales order in NAV. So the time lag decreases. Otherwise, if there is a routinely affair, then it takes time for the files to be imported and not taken up, consumed after every hour or every 30 minutes. So these delays are can be avoided. Okay, so this is why the web services are used. There are two kinds of web services: SOAP web services and OData web services. Okay, normally uh, SOAP web services are used when it is a two-way communication channel. Okay, like the example which I'm talking about, we need a two-way communication channel here. Okay, one system will be sending a document, the other side may send a document in return. Okay, OData kind of web services are normally used when we are fetching data uh, one way. For example, in Excel, if I have to uh, let's say, oh, just give me a sec. In Excel, Microsoft Excel, I connect that Excel to my database, or I use the OData web services and I define a template, okay, to export all the customers or the ledger entries. So I can use the OData web services there. Okay, so it is finely tuned for those kind of purposes. Okay, so the third that creates a connectivity is NAS. Okay, Navision Application Server. Okay, so what we have seen is we have two of these clients which are more used, and the SharePoint client can also be configured. Then we have behind the application working services like web services for the data integration, and then is NAS. NAS is nothing, it works as a server for various external applications for the integration purpose. Okay, so it routinely helps in the connectivity. For example, if I have to send a document uh, at certain intervals, the NS forms the connectivity there, and I can export or import the documents as and when needed. So we will see this as well in our coming sessions. How do we configure it and how we can use it. Okay, I can give an example for NS services. uh, there's a retail client in UK, that is Boots. I don't know if many of you have heard about it. Boots is a kind of like Maxi in Sweden, and we have Big Bazaar or Total or kind of retail outlets, which are the chain of retail outlets. So Boots is one of those. So Boots has a headquarter, and it has hundreds of outlets, retail outlets where they sell. So each retail outlet runs Navision client on their counters. They scan things, they create bills, and then end of the day these bills are updated to the headquarter. So the inventory has to be updated every day or every hour depending upon what kind of inventory it is. So those kind of services are managed using NAS. Okay, because there becomes a routinely affair. Okay, and it is an internal system now. It is not two different systems, it is an internal system. So this data needs to be regularly updated, so we can use NAS kind of services which acts as a server, and one server can uh, handle many jobs at a time. Okay, so we have multiple client support here. Another example of integration in warehouse, we usually have big warehouses, and they have hand scanners with them. Okay, so we usually call them as ADCS or automated data capture systems. So what they do is they just go and scan it, and that information is sent back to the server. Okay, so those are also accommodated with NAS. We can have NAS server defined on one system. The ADCS systems, they scan the information, send it to the NAS servers. The NAS servers update that information in my database. So NAS server straight away talks to my database. They don't have to go through these clients. Okay, so it is a separate channel of talking to the database. Okay, so we have different clients here. Okay, so next we'll see the object designer. What do we have there? I will minimize it. Is it hung? Looks like. Ah, this is let me open it again. Can one of you close the system, please? I think there are more than 5 people on the system. Or let me, yeah, okay. Let me be in. Okay, so we'll get into the development environment, and I'll just quickly recap what we have seen so that you remember that. We can open a database. Okay, it will take me to the database to which I have the access. It may be of different version. Okay, it does not show you. Now for example, this database is of 2015 version, this database is of 2013, and these two are from 2013 R2. Okay, so it shows me all versions, but it will not let me in. So what I do is I just get into my database. Let me not interrupt with anything else. We select the Windows authentication, we get in, and here we are. Okay, so this is my, let me just close this. This is what you see right now is the development environment. It forms the platform, okay, for the objects to open. Okay, so this is integrated server side integrated development environment. Okay, so I get in, we see all the objects this side: tables, pages, reports, coordinates, query, XML ports, and many suits. Okay, so I will quickly brief you about all these tables. I think uh, everyone must be having a very easy time in understanding it. So for example, tables is nothing but a collection of fields together, and if I see the customer, I see all of them here: number, name, search, address, blah blah. Okay, amounts, and I can create new field. I need to check the license if it allows me. Yeah, it should allow me. Okay, so I'll just create a field of, there are different types. Okay, I can select any one. I'll select integer type, and I'll just mention it is for test. Okay, so okay, let me select an instance before that. Database information, do we have one of them? Yes, here it is. Design, test, integer, and test. Do you want to save, please? Okay, so I have created a field here, but it will not be visible anywhere because either I have to run this table or I have to put it on the page, because page is what reflects the fields that are available. 18 number, customer card 21. Okay, so I can run the table from here also. I should be able to see all the details that are available, and let me see if it, yeah, here it is. Okay, so you see all the customers are available in the table. Let me see if it shows me my field. Yes, here it is. Okay, no data. All right, but this is not what that is available to the customer or the user, I should say. It is the pages those are available. Okay, so I need to attach that field somewhere on the page. So let me see, where can I attach it? Let me put it here. Test. Normally it takes time. Let's see if it shows us. All right, here it is, but it is not editable. I have to open it into editable mode and then do that, but that can be done. That is nothing. Okay, so this is what that is visible to all the users, and this page cannot be customized user wise. Okay, so if a user sees the customer card, then all the users who can see customer card will see the same. We cannot hide any of these details what you see here user wise. Okay, so we can make a profile where we can give a user only access to the purchase. Even in purchase, to what detail I want him to access, we can set that. But when it opens up a page, Okay, we cannot restrict him. We have to write a code if we really have to. So these are uh, some things which we will come across when we start do the development. Okay, so that is the card. This is a list page. Okay, if you okay, it looks like a table, but it is not, because we don't see all the fields here. I can add more fields. I'll see more of them. And yes, uh, did I miss? I think, did we see the chart or statistics? This section, I think I did not mention to you. We call this section as fact box. Okay, this fact box, why do we call it as a fact box? Because it contains the facts for a certain customer. Now this is one customer, so of course it is only about it, but you will see more in a list page. Okay, for example, I'm on this customer. I see the facts of this customer. Let me move to another one. The facts changes. Okay, and we have few other facts here. We can add a new some notes. We can add some links. Okay, links are like, you know, if I have to add some website addresses with respect to this particular, then I will go ahead and do that. Okay, so these are some details which we need to understand about the pages and tables. And I'll close this. I'll move on. Reports will not cover it as of now, because it is I can show you some reports. Perhaps we'll not using it, but uh, let me see where what we can look at. Let me open a sales invoice. Okay. Mm, test report. Preview. A report is nothing but it retrieves the data from the tables in a particular format, okay, in which it needs to be printed. So if you see, it gives me the details, okay, for this particular document, and it tells me if there are any details missing. So it is, there are two kinds of reports. One is display reports, or the the reports which we take a printout and we use it. The other reports are processing only reports. Processing only reports are used to modify the data. Okay, so this report is not for print, it is not for modifying the data also, but it is for the information purpose. But yes, it is a print kind of report, because we can see the layout. Process only reports does not have a layout. We don't set the layouts for them, we only create them to modify the data. So this report is actually telling me if there are any setups missing on this order. So it says there is no, it gives me warning, there is nothing to post. Okay, so I have to correct it before I go ahead and you know post this invoice. So we'll see it on orders. For orders, we see reports. Let me open this sales order. Okay, print. Preview. Yeah, okay, so this is a sales order, and we see there are items, unit prices, quantities, and amount, and then we get the total, and then we get the tax details. So usually in business we have these kind of documents available. They are changed as per the customer requirements. We can change anything here in this layout. Okay, and we can have any kind of information that is logically can be deduced from the database. Now when I say logically can be deduced, it means there must be some relation between the data that it has to be retrieved. Okay, so we can format this, we can bring pictures on this, we can have runtime filters on these reports, and there are a lot of things which we can do. And normally those are the requirements from the customers when they go for the reports.
So,
Yeah.
actually, I want to ask, this report stays only with the company, it does not go to the customer.
No, the report is an object, but actually this is a sales document. This is a sales order, or it can also be a sales invoice. Okay, so these documents, we take a printout, we put a stamp, and we send it over to the customer. Okay, so these are the business documents. So in a way, this is a business document for a customer or for a business. Okay, so we set the layout as per the customer's requirement. Okay, don't get confused with report.
So it is also.
Yeah, don't get confused with the name report. Okay, report is nothing but a layout, what we see. Okay, it is not just the information that it is giving me. Okay, it can be categorized into that, whether it is just for information, or whether it needs to be taken a printout and stamp and send it over to the customer, or whether I'm modifying the data.
So this is prepared in both the cases when we are dealing with the vendors and the customers.
Yes, we'll have for the purchase also. Let me go to the departments. We'll have it in almost every document, or almost all the departments, I would rather say. Okay, let me open it. We'll have a similar kind of layout for this as well. Okay, so this is a purchase document. Okay, so it also has the item details. Okay, the whatever the cost or whatever the taxation around is there, so it gives me all the details. So what I will do is, because this purchase documents, they go to the vendor side, so I will do the layout according to the customer or to the company, and make it ready with all the logos, all the photos, and all the dates, and who is the user, and all these formats changes, or if any additional information they want. And if they want to change this layout, they don't want all these unnecessary things. Okay, so they want these details at the bottom, in the bottom of the report, these addresses and all. Okay, phone numbers, websites, where to contact. So we'll change the layout of this, and they will use it as a purchase order, they'll use it as a purchase invoice, and we'll send it across. Okay, so almost every company has a unique layout of these documents. Okay, did I answer you?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we'll move on from this. We'll go to the development environment. So we see the report. We have financial reports, we have sales reports, we have purchase reports. For every department we have reports, okay, which are used for various reasons. Next is code units. Code unit is the heart of this application. As the name suggests, code. Okay, it only holds the code. Okay, so yesterday we posted few documents, so across purchase and sales. Okay, so if you see these coordinates here, they helped me doing that. And then we did it across the purchase, these coordinates helped me doing that. Okay, so if I open these objects, they will have nothing but just the code. Okay, if you look at this is nothing but only the code. So what happens is, when I'm on page and I do an action, so there might be a coordinate running behind it which is having some code. It will validate the entire data and it will post the data. Okay, it will consume the data, it will process the data into the required uh, direction. For example, yesterday we prepared the sales order and then we posted it. So sales post, and it yes or no and print. Okay, we'll not talk about print, it was not used yesterday. We used, in our process we used only these two. I'll tell you briefly what they did yesterday. If you remember, we selected shipment, invoice, or shipment and invoice. Okay, so those decisions were done here. Okay, and then it created a sales shipment document and it created a posted sales invoice. So this coordinate helped in creating that, and it also helped in creating the respective item ledger entries and customer ledger entries. So the entire data in that transaction was processed through these. There might be a code written on the page and also the table, but the core heart of the posting engine resides in a coordinate. So we have to be very judicious about it, where to put the code. Okay, whether it has to be on the page or on the table or in the coordinate. So it will vary depending upon my requirement. Okay, so we'll use this coordinate also in the coming days, coming weeks. So we have coordinates for almost every domain, holding the core of that particular domain posting process. So for example, these are the units used for the sales, these are the units used for purchase, and we'll also find for the GL, or that is finance. Okay, then we have the posting for the items. Okay, so there are these are many, okay, and all of them are so correlated, one is using the other. So we have to understand this flow, and we need to know the business flow to understand how they are used. But yes, over a period of time it will be easy to understand where can we look for a certain code, and easy to resolve. Okay, so we move on to next object, that is query. Query is a new object which came from 2013 onwards. Okay, this is the one object which uses OData web services. Okay, it retrieves the data and can expose the data to be used by different applications. Okay, so otherwise there's just give me one second, let me connect my charger. So this query does not have an interface. It has just has some designs, from which table the data has to be retrieved, which table where it has to be exposed. It will have some layouts, and it is to be consumed in the coordinates. We have to create a query here. We have to consume them in the coordinate. That means we have to use them in the coordinate to retrieve the data and expose it. Okay, so next object is XML port. XML port is it is used for importing and exporting the data out of this system. Okay, now for example, if I have to export the entire items, okay, so in that case I'll create a new XML port. I'll pick up my item table, I list all the fields down here, and I will set the direction of it, whether it is import or export, and use it. Okay, so what it will do, it will straight away pick all the records from the table and will export it and say and ask me to save in the XML format. Okay, we can also use it to save the file in CSV format, that is comma separated format. Okay, so it it is, or that is one way. The other way is I have an XML file which has some item details and I have to update those item details in my database. So I can create a new XML port matching the layout of that XML file and import that XML file into NAV. So that will update my item table. Okay, so we'll create these also in the coming time. Menu suite, we don't do anything down here. What we do is this layout, what we see is as per the menu suite. Okay, so this layout what we see here in the application area is defined as per this, so we don't customize this. We can delete or update the application areas using the menu suite if we have to. And normally when we use this is let's say there are some uh, domains or some market areas which does not exactly fit into NAV. Okay, and we create an entirely new domain or a new add-on for that particular market. So in that case what I'll do is I'll go and create a new, and I'll select this add-on and click OK and save it. Okay, so in that case what happens, the hierarchy if you see, it gets inherited. So whatever the layout is in first one is inherited into second, second one is inherited into third, third is inherited into fourth. Okay, so that way it continues. So uh, it does not have any coding part, it is only the layout or the designing of my RTC it has to do, nothing more. Okay, so but don't get confused with the RTC layout of this. Okay, this RTC layout is managed by the profile that is attached with your user, and it automatically get configured with your privileges. Okay, for example, as I said, if I have access only to the sales, then I will not see any of these. I will only see sales and marketing. I will not see even finance or anything else. Okay, so don't get confused by that. So this is about the objects, and let me see if I make a note of anything down here. Yeah, I think,
Excuse me, sir.
yeah.
Can we modify the layout part?
Layout, you mean this?
No, not this. The development part.
Which one? Which one? Tell me again. Here?
That we see. So, yeah, in the menu sir.
You mean this?
Yes.
No, this is all fixed by Microsoft. We cannot add anything new now. For example, it only allows me to add 10 add-ons. Okay, but within this, I can manage the existing one. Okay, for example, in departments right now I see all these, so I can add a new one here. That is very doable. I don't have to in fact save as a new menu suite. I can add it right now. Okay, so I can add a number of these domains or departments. That is not restricted, there's no limit to that. Okay, that this uh, let me just show you again. Okay, where did it go? Here, if you see these are let's say my company has created two add-ons. Okay, and if I have to export only one of it, there it helps me. Okay, so if I select this one, it helps me customize this, and I will delete this or disable this, or I delete, and this will not be available in the add-on one. or add-on 2 or add-on 3. Okay, and then I can export this menu suite, so whenever whoever imports it will not have those deleted ones. So it helps me customize that. Okay, otherwise there is no restriction. It does not restrict me over changing the layout, okay, or adding new ones. There's no limit to that. Okay, so we move on. We will see the chart of accounts we did not see yesterday. Okay. Okay, before I move to this, let me brief you about the master areas. Okay, uh, when we talk about the master areas, every domain has a master area, okay, where the entire functionality circles around it. For example, customer. Okay, customer has sales, so customer is a master. Okay, for example, vendor, purchase, so vendor is a master. Then we have item, so it can be inventory or warehouse. Okay, then in finance we have GL account, so that is for finance. So these are nothing but masters. Okay, so the entire sales area circles around customer. We create sales code, sales orders, sales invoices, posted documents, everything circles around customer. A customer is needed. Purchase, we don't need customer, we don't need anything else, or the GL account. Yes, item we need because that is a selling one, but vendor, without vendor we cannot do that. Okay, on a purchase I can select some services also which may not be an item. Okay, so for services I can select GL account on the purchase order and I can sell it, but the purchase I always circles around vendor. Inventory or warehouse, we cannot assume anything about without item. The same goes with finance, so that is GL account. Okay, so we have seen these three: how to create a customer, how to create a vendor, how to create an item. Okay, so now we'll see the GL account and the chart of accounts. Chart of account tells us about income and balances of a company. The entire activity going around has a financial impact. Whether I'm doing a selling, it affects my chart of accounts. I'm purchasing something, it affects my chart of account. Anything you can think of in an organization which has a monetary effect will be reflected in chart of account. Okay, there has to be an account associated for those activities. Okay, so I really don't have these names in English, otherwise it would have been more easier. I'll see by next week if I am able to get an international database. Okay, that will be more easier, maybe more informative, but I can just brief you of the details here. I'll talk about these fields when I create a new GL account. And what I wanted to show you here is these figures, the balance. Okay, so these balance, if I just go in, okay, where did it go? Okay, you see here, I see the amount. It not a good example. I'll open the cash account. Okay, that would be CASA, KASS. Okay, here it is. Yes, let me see if there is some money here. Yes, it is. And if you remember, we used this account yesterday, and we'll see. Okay, we see different activities down here. Okay, so they have been used for different purpose. Okay, and all the effect, all the impact is recorded in my GL accounts. Okay, so there are different headers for the GL accounts. For example, if these are all accounts must be related to cash and bank. Okay, the net balance, how much it is, so it will be reflecting down here because it is end total. So there is always a begin total and end total, and then there is a lump sum total of the income accounts and the expenses accounts, different things. I'm not so good at it, um, but I can brief you a lot. Let us see a new chart of account here. Okay, if you remember yesterday we were setting up these fields on customer, vendor and item. I'll brief you.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
So what is GL account?
general ledger. You can relate this general ledger. Have you been to small shops? So in small shops, you know, he usually have a red book. Louis, you will not be able to connect it in Sweden. This is a practice in India. So what they do is, in that red book, in every small shop, they usually make a note of every transaction. Okay, now that transaction, that book is nothing but a ledger. Okay, in that book they write, okay, this I just received 100 rupees against this selling an item. I paid 100 rupees towards an interest for today's amount. Okay, so they keep noting in that red book. That red book is nothing but a ledger. Okay, so general ledger is the same ledger. Okay, why do we call it general? Because it is general all across the domains. So an account can be, let me keep something. Okay, 1901911 maybe. Is it available? Yes, it is available. Okay, test account, we'll just keep it. Whether it is an income statement or it is a balance sheet. Okay, debit credit, can be only debit or can be only credit. With this I can, you know, set it whether it will be used only for the sales or purchase or both. Okay, so I can set the usage of this particular account. So then whether it is posting account, like yesterday when we did a posting in cash receipt journal and the others, we could have picked a general account straight away. So then it needs to be a direct posting, true, and should be a posting account. Otherwise heading will not have anything. Begin total and end total is like we have this in chart of accounts. You see this begin total and end total. So this marks a group of accounts. It tells me that it is a list. So my account is here. Okay, so I can use this account in my transactions provided I do some setups. Setups like direct posting, I can use this account with this boolean checked in on the journals straight away. I'll pick this account, I'll pay some amount from a customer into this account and use it. Okay, so what more important for each of us to know is about this posting. So we have business, we'll group it into two for the easiness: business posting groups and product posting groups. Okay, so on customer we'll have general business posting group, VAT business posting group, and these we will find on the items. I'll just show you if I can open it right away. Let me open a customer card. I'll let you know how this in combination helps me reaching a particular account where to effect. I will go to invoicing. You see here, this is a customer, and we see General Business Posting Group, and VAT Business Posting Group. So each posting group has a combination of accounts. I'll go into setup for this, and can I resize it? Yes. Okay, so the business posting group which I have selected is export, and it has a combination of product posting group. Now where do I find these product posting group? I will find it on item. So for example, let's say I select an item on this sales order which has this product posting group. So which account will it hit? It will hit this sales account. Okay, if it is a credit memo, do you remember what is a credit memo? Credit memo is a document which we create when we have some returns, sales returns. Okay, so when I do a sale for a particular item which has a general product posting group detail, I'll call it as details. Okay, so it will affect this particular account. So it is a combination now. Okay, so let's say if I select European Union and I go to setup, I see the European Union has a combination with different product posting groups, and the account has changed. So why do we need these? We need these, for example, if I want to record all the European Union selling with this particular product, I can identify from my chart of account how much is the sale. Okay, because when I post an invoice, all my amount will hit this particular account for this combination. I will show you the item. That will be more easy to relate. What you see here, they have only the product posting groups. So for example, if I go to detail, and so if I pick up this particular item on the sales invoice cycle, and the customer has, hey, can we keep both of them side by side? Let me do that. Let me resize it. This is the cycle. Okay, this is the customer card. I cancel this, minimize, we keep it by the side. Here it is. Okay, so you see here, this customer has a business posting group as export, and this item has a product posting group as details. Okay, so when I create a sales order for this customer and sell this particular item, it will give me this combination. Now when I look into this combination, I will see this is export, this is European Union. I'll go into export. Okay, so that will, so which means that export and this sale will go to this particular account. Okay, so for example, this is raw material. Now I might have some excess raw material which is perishable, so I want to sell that. So what I'll do is I will have an item with this particular product group, and I will have a customer with this particular business posting group. So that sale will go into 6.5. So when I look at my chart of account, okay, I'll go to chart of account now. I'll cancel all these, and we'll see these accounts must be having some figures. Okay, so chart of accounts 3055. Let's see, where are those? Yes, here it is. Okay, so this is, you see these figures 3055. So this is nothing but the combination of these two have this much sale. the combination of these two have this much sale, so it is easy for me to identify. Okay, so I do my setups accordingly. Okay, so that's how it is. And when we create a new GL account card, we have to define these accordingly, and I use them accordingly. These two are also found on the this is found on the customers or vendors, this is found on the items. Okay, so again the same combination is reflected down here in my chart of accounts. So in nutshell, what I can say is my chart of account is nothing but a see-through for my all business transactions. How much selling, how much procurements, and how much fixed assets depreciations, how much interest I'm paying towards banks, and how much the let's say towards services I'm paying. Okay, so everything is reflected out here. There is no transaction done without an effect into it. And it's important, that is one of the main purpose of ERP. Okay, so for example, if we are even moving an item from one place to another, there might be a cost involved into it, so we can even capture that. So, or we were getting an error yesterday, cost of goods sold, that helps me in recording the costs of all the inventory that I have, because I must know what is the valuation of all the inventories. So those valuations are recorded in my chart of accounts, and each chart of account has its own importance. Okay, its own combinations defines that. So there might be some where there are direct transactions. Okay, like which one was that? 1910. Yeah. Okay, you see, there is no business posting group, there is no product posting group, but still there are some figures, because these are straight away used in finance for the postings, while the others, where we see all these combinations, they are used in my business transactions. Okay, so this is about the chart of accounts and the GL account, which you need to know. And what else? Navigate. I think I have not shown you. There is an important aspect of this dimension also, but we'll talk about it more when we continue in the project development. Okay, this dimension is I'll briefly let you by statement. It is used for the analysis purpose. With every transaction I attach this dimension. Okay, the usage of this is, for example, if I have north, south, east and west, 4 business hubs, and there are independent sales going on, independent purchase going on, so I want to analyze. Okay, give me a graph sales wise, or a graph of sales of north, so I can do a filter because of the dimensions, because with every transaction there will be a north or no, a dimension will be tagged. So dimensions are used, so we have to be very judicious in defining these dimensions. Usually customer knows how they want the analysis to be done, but the main purpose of dimensions is analysis. Okay, so what I wanted to show you more, I think I missed filters and flow fields. Okay, I've shown you the tables. These are normal fields what we just created. Okay, there is a special field in here which we call as flow field. Okay, flow field in here, example it will be inventory, no, balance. Yes. Okay, this is not just a field, it is a special field called flow field. We don't put any values here. The reason, its values are calculated every time it is run. So if I go to customer card, okay, and I'll see the balance here. This balance, its value is updated every time I open this card, or every time I open this table, or I run this table. Okay, so if I move to next, I'll see some figures here. Now this is the only field, if you see, it has a hyperlink, and I can click on it. It will take me to the table where it is related, so it shows me where the transactions are. Okay, so if I move to next, and then I see again, and then I see this. So these fields are called flow fields purposely because they are instantly updated. Okay, for example, I'm on this customer, and a user down south, it does a transaction for this particular customer. Okay, so the moment I do a back and forth, I will see the reflect here. This figure will change because it is every time a record is fetched, it is updated. And at the back end, in the table, this field will have zero value. There is no value into it. All the other fields will have values. The moment I run a table or I run a page, these values are instantly calculated. So this is a very unique feature in NAV. Okay, and it is also performance oriented because for example, it takes me to the ledgers, and ledgers can have lakhs and lakhs of records. Okay, so these values needs to be calculated. So these are actually pre-calculated the moment a transaction is done, and it is very unique. It has been particularly implemented in SQL to support this feature for the NAV. Okay, so we call them as flow fields. Now flow fields is one, and then we have flow filters. I must see where. Let me enlarge. Do I miss anything here? Hmm, no, not this. No. No, I'm not able to get that. But I'll let you know what the filter is. Flow filters are actually applied on this flow field. Okay, so they are runtime filters. When we apply, let's say this balance is up to date. If I want to have it only until last year, I will use flow filters. Okay, so I'll show you next time. Let me. No, I'll make a note of it and I'll show you next time. Okay, so we'll see that. That's strange. No. Okay. Okay, so I think we have covered almost everything. We know the different multi-language functionality. We have seen web services, different client types, the development environment, different masters, flow field, filters. I have not shown you. I'll definitely show it on Monday. Sorry, not Monday, Tuesday. Okay, chart of account and GL account card. Okay, any questions? Any questions across this? Do you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Any questions for this?
No, sir, not now.
Okay, I have left a few like manufacturing and jobs and resources. Okay, uh, they're not needed for you in your curriculum, but yes, if we have time, we'll definitely cover it sometime. Okay.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
I understand SOAP, which is a two-way communication channel.
Yeah.
Can you give me an example of OData when fetching is done one way?
OData is normally, I'll show you in Excel. I'll give you Excel is a good example for that. Here it gives me, to connect it from web, okay, or from other sources. I can use any of these. Okay, you see the OData here. Do you see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
so this I can, if my NAV application has a OData web services available, I can get the feed from my NAV into this Excel. What I will do is I will define a layout, name, number, name, balance, and addresses, business posting groups, blah blah blah, all the fields of my customer, and I'll create a web service using my query to export the customer details, and then I will consume this OData. Okay, so that will be a link here, website kind of link, and we'll give the username and password and we'll connect it. So I'll get that data here. Now, why I said it one directional, I have received the data here, but if I edit something here, it will not go back to my application. Okay, the SOAP web services gives us a connectivity for the both sides. Okay, so this NAV does not support that, but NAV, yes, it supports me few other things, like I can connect it through the SQL server, and I can import the data, and if I edit the data in here in my Excel sheet, it will also get updated at the back end, but that is not web service. Okay, so usually that's why I said OData is this is one good example for that. Okay, so I don't know if you are aware of the pivot table. Pivot table, what happens is in Excel, when we have a pivot table, we can customize the columns. I can drag and drop the columns, and that data will be available here. I can put some filters, I can add some columns from a table at runtime, and the data will keep changing. Those are pivot tables. So those pivot tables, I can connect them to my NAV application using this OData. Okay. So, but if I change that data in here, it will not go back to my NAV. That's one side. Okay, any more questions?